Just doing a short pond side review of the new. That's right, new Mora 510. Why Mora stopped making the 510 is beyond comprehension, but they did. The model that replaced it is the Mora 511, which is still available. It's carbon steel. I believe it is around 4 3/4 inches long blade, and it's 0.098 thick. This particular one, I sharpened the spine to work better with a fire steel. Now, the new Mora 510 is very similar. Basically, the 511 had the same blade as the old 510, but they added a rather large, some would say, annoying finger guard. Now, keep in mind though, the new Mora 511 has a thinner stock blade, and the same goes true for the new Mora 510. This particular blade is 0.079 thick. Same size blade, but it's just a little bit thinner. But there's also a major difference too. At least I consider it a major difference. Notice the scandi grind on the 511, and by default, the old 510. See how it takes up a lot of the surface of the blade. I would say it's almost nearly half. But with the new Mora 510, it takes up a much smaller area of the blade, the actual scandi grind. This is very much like the clipper, and the same thing, where it takes up just a lot less, a little bit, you can tell from here. Pros and cons? Well, when you're sharpening, because it's a scandi grind, and you're sharpening down the entire bevel, whatever you want to call it, you have to take all that metal. So it's less metal to actually take when you're sharpening it. But on the flip side though, because scandi ground knives, frequently people sand them on, they stew it on sandpaper or stone. There's a smaller amount of actual scandi grind to push down on the sharpening surface to make contact with your sandpaper. Here you got a little bit more. It might be easier for some people because you've got a bigger bezel to push down on when you're sharpening, or to angle flat on the stone. So I prefer the smaller area of scandi grind, just like the clipper has. That's my preference. The old carbon clipper had it just like that. As far as the thickness goes, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. These are both not very big knives. I mean, it's kind of nice seeing a little thicker blade, but it's a scandi. It's one of those things where I think scandis do a lot better when they're thinner. So you have to decide for yourself: thicker blade, thinner blade, less actual scandi ground surface, more. I don't know if with the new 511s, if they change the blade profile like this, but that's basically, it is what it is. The sheaths are different because they had to compensate for that rather ridiculous, some would say, finger guard. The sheath is a lot wider. Chris One Slight Pro. I got a little more paracord on there. I've got duct tape and a fire steel and a lanyard. This is braided with jute and 2 different strands of paracord. Honestly, something like this though, I'd be hesitant to put that around my neck if I get caught up in a tree. This is not leaving. I'm staying attached to that tree. But this is more, I more put this in my pack, kind of like a little Mora survival knife thing. Another difference: all black. Of course, if I drop it in the woods, so I might put some brightly colored paracord like that. So let's see how we cut. Let's see how the new Mora 510 cuts. Now, Moras are kind of a known quantity. I believe this is what are you? Poplar. Man, it's just piling it off. Somebody's bound to out there say he's not doing the proper chest lever cut, whatever. I'm just showing for the camera. I gotta tell you though, it's cutting good. And why shouldn't cut? You know, I don't know if you can see. Cane shaving sharp. Thin scandi. Looks like the fish are getting a little active out there in the pond. Thin scandi. It's no wonder. It's no wonder it's cutting great. Okay, what else we have here? Looks like we've got a little bit of white pine. Jeez, it's just raining it. It's going through a grate. What could be said? Thin scandi ground knife. I mean, it's great. It's got, you know, but on the flip side, the old 511, very similar performance. So, you know, we're not talking about a massive difference in performance. That's one of the reasons why a little bit thinner blade isn't really a big deal, in my opinion. All right, as I said, this is just initial impressions. They're pretty positive. I would recommend it. Lightweight knife. There's no obnoxious, if you have to do detailed work, no more big thumb guard. You don't have to cut that off. It's not bad. So that concludes the initial impressions review. Of the Mora, new Mora. Of the new Mora 510. And thank you very much for looking. I would say you get this knife for about around $12.